Hi, welcome back to Softbound. You ever wonder why time moves so fast? Well, we're going to find out together. So let's get right into it.
Do you remember childhood summers? They seemed to stretch on forever, didn't they? Each day was a vast expanse of possibility. Waiting for a birthday felt like an eternity. The school year crawled by at a snail's pace. Time for a child often feels abundant, almost limitless. This leisurely pace of perceived time is a common recollection for many of us, a stark contrast to how we often feel as adults. Then something shifts as we grow older. The years start to blur. Suddenly, seasons change in what feels like the blink of an eye. Birthdays and holidays arrive with alarming speed. Where did the time go becomes a frequent, almost rhetorical question. This isn't just a vague feeling, it's a widely reported phenomenon, a shared human experience. Is it merely a trick of memory, or is there something more profound happening within our minds? Children are constantly encountering new things. Their brains are working hard to understand the world, absorbing information like sponges. This constant novelty might play a significant role in stretching out their perception of time. This is the beginning of our exploration into why time seems to pick up its pace. Psychologists have been intrigued by this perceived acceleration of time for many years. One idea is the proportionality theory. For a 5-year-old, 1 year is a massive 20% of their entire life. Now consider a 50-year-old. For them, 1 year is merely 2% of their life. This doesn't mean time itself is changing, of course, but our internal gauge, our psychological clock, seems to recalibrate as we accumulate more yesterdays. Another area of psychological study focuses on how our brains process and store temporal information. It's thought that our internal clock isn't a single precise mechanism like a wristwatch. Instead, it's more like a complex system influenced by various factors, including our attention, our emotional state, and even our body temperature. Researchers have conducted experiments where participants estimate time durations under different conditions. These studies often show that our judgment of time can be surprisingly malleable. What feels like a short period to one person or in one situation can feel like a long one to another, or in a different context. Our brains are constantly working to make sense of the temporal patterns in our lives. The mystery deepens when we consider these intricate mental processes. Memory plays a crucial role in how we perceive the passage of time, especially in retrospect. Think about a week filled with new experiences. Perhaps you traveled to a new city, you met new people, you tried new foods. When you look back on that week, it often feels packed, rich, and therefore longer. Each distinct event creates a separate memory marker. Novelty, it seems, stretches time. Conversely, consider a week dominated by routine. You wake up, go to work, do familiar tasks, come home, watch television and go to bed. The days are largely indistinguishable. When you try to recall that week, there are fewer unique memory markers. Routine, while often necessary, can become a silent accelerator of perceived time. This is why childhood often feels so long in retrospect. For a child, almost everything is new. Therefore, if we want to slow down our perception of time, one strategy might be to inject more novelty into our lives. It's about consciously creating those memory markers that define our personal timelines. The concept of temporal compression offers another lens through which to view this phenomenon. It suggests that as we age, our brains become more efficient at processing familiar information. When experiences are routine, the brain doesn't need to work as hard. It can bundle similar events together. Think of it like data compression for a computer file. Similarly, a month of routine work might be compressed in our memory into a much shorter subjective experience than a month filled with unique, challenging events. This compression isn't necessarily a bad thing. It allows us to navigate familiar environments and tasks with ease. However, this efficiency comes at a cost to our perception of time's richness. The more our life is lived on autopilot, the more susceptible it is to this temporal compression. The years can then seem to shrink, not because there's less in them, but because our memory has packaged them so neatly. Furthermore, the sheer volume of past experiences in adulthood can contribute to this feeling. The narrative of your life becomes longer, and individual chapters might feel shorter in comparison to the whole book. This perspective shift is a natural consequence of accumulating a longer personal history. So, the feeling that time is speeding up might be partly due to our brains becoming expert summarizers of our own lives. These periods resist compression, remaining vivid and extended in our mental archives. Our emotional state has a profound ability to alter our perception of time's passage. Think about moments of intense fear. If you've ever been in a near accident, those few seconds can stretch out, feeling like minutes. Your brain kicks into high gear, processing information rapidly, trying to make sense of the threat. This heightened awareness and detailed memory formation can make the event seem to unfold in slow motion. Conversely, consider moments of deep engagement or flow, often associated with love or passionate work. When you're completely absorbed in an activity you enjoy, hours can feel like minutes. Time seems to vanish. You look up at the clock and are shocked to see how much has passed. This happens because your attention is so focused on the task or the person that you're not monitoring the passage of time. Grief, too, has its own strange relationship with time. For someone mourning a loss, time can feel distorted in multiple ways. It might drag incredibly slowly, each day a heavy burden. Or paradoxically, large chunks of time might seem to disappear into a fog of sorrow with little memory of what happened. These experiences highlight how deeply our internal emotional landscape can color our sense of temporal flow. Time, it seems, beats to the rhythm of our hearts. Ultimately, the question arises, is this changing perception of time just that, a perception, or does time itself somehow alter based on who we are and what we feel? Physics would tell us that objective time marches on relentlessly, 1 second at a time. Yet, our lived experience, our subjective reality, tells a different story. For us, time is not a metronome ticking with perfect uniformity. It's more like a river, sometimes flowing slowly and languidly, at other times rushing forward in a torrent. Its pace seems deeply personal. This subjectivity is not a flaw in our perception. It is a fundamental aspect of human consciousness. Our individual experiences, our memories, our emotions, and even our age all contribute to the unique way each of us experiences time's passage. Recognizing this subjective nature of time can be empowering. If our perception of time is malleable, then perhaps we have some agency in shaping it. By cultivating mindfulness, by paying closer attention to the present moment, we can resist the tendency for days to blur into an undifferentiated rush. By seeking out new experiences and challenging routines, we can create more distinct memory markers, making our lives feel richer and more expansive. The key then is not to lament the speeding up of time as we age, but to engage with it more consciously. Savor the small moments. Pay attention to the details. Time may fly, but we can still choose to be awake and aware for the journey.
Wow, that was interesting. Thanks for watching Softbound. Please hit the like button, subscribe, please put a comment in the bottom, and watch for more to come.